Once again, welcome to the show. All right, the Punch newspaper is our first port of call this morning. And where else to go? Edo State. INEC speaks on Edo APC primary. Protesters demand chairman sacking. That's from the Punch newspaper. And still on the Punch newspaper, federal government to install biometric gates at international airport in March. That's to take care of security issues. So we hope that will come on stream by that day. And still on the Punch newspaper, Aso Villa DHQ, that's the defense headquarters, CBN face disconnection over 47 billion naira debt. That's coming from the electricity company. And still on the Punch newspaper, 50 Niger Republic bound food trucks intercepted in Zamfara State. That's how the Punch newspaper puts the story. And still on the Punch newspaper, there's this rather very sad story. Lion kills OAU veterinary worker during feeding. That's a very unfortunate one there. It's in the Punch newspaper. And still in the Punch, Senate asks FIRS to suspend 17 trillion naira tax waivers. You can get that from the Punch newspapers. And still on the Punch, updated that manufacturers list conditions to slash rising cement price. What are the conditions? When we read the details, you'll get to hear that. That's all we can take from the Punch newspapers. From the Punch newspapers, we move on to the Vanguard newspaper. And some of the stories here we've already read in the Punch newspaper. There's a story of Forex crisis. 2024 budget suffers major dislocation. That's from the Vanguard newspaper. Still on the Vanguard, FG Cement manufacturers agree on 7,000 to 8,000 for 50 kg per bag. That's the price of cement. And still in the Vanguard newspaper, lion attacks, kills OAU zookeeper. We already read that in the Punch newspaper. Still on Vanguard, ASU says 46 members lost their lives to economic hardship. This is rather very sad. And still on Vanguard, hardship, don't join protest. Ohaneze direct Ndigbo. That's from the Punch newspaper. Oh, the Vanguard newspaper rather. The last story there is from the Vanguard newspapers. Yes, the Guardian newspaper is what we are looking at now. And Nigeria ended 2023 with 224 million active telephone lines. That's coming from data from the telecom industry. Still on the Guardian newspaper, security agents intercept trucks of smuggled, diverted food items at border. Foreign real estate investors record huge losses amid rise in exchange rate. That's still in the Guardian newspaper. Recapitalization just before banks begin fundraising. That's all from the Guardian newspaper. And one or two sports stories here. Osimhen must up his game to be in AFCON best 11, says Adelabu. And yes, LP chairman calls for Abure resignation. This is still from the Guardian newspapers. IMF warns Nigeria of potential 44% inflation rate. High cost of living protest rocks Ibadan. Poultry Association blames rising cost of egg on forest greed. NSCDC partners ICPC to tackle corruption. That's the Nigerian Civil Code. Okay. Well, that's all from the Guardian newspapers. Okay, on our last paper to review this morning, the Nigerian Tribune says Nigeria's unemployment rate rises to 5% in the third quarter of 2023. This is according to the Nigerian Bureau for Statistics. Still in the Tribune newspaper, reps set to debate state police bill today. Court fixes March 4 to review arrest warrants for Fubara's COS, that's Governor of Rivers State, as Chief of Staff. Federal government manufacturers peg cement prices at 8,000 naira. That should be some good news for Nigerians. Hardship, PDP backs own governor's position against President Tinubu APC. I'm sure you are aware of the back and forth between the PDP and officials of the presidency in the last few days. Speaker laments turnover of reps members. That's coming from the Tribune newspaper. Why Ayedatiwa will get Ondo APC Guba ticket. You want to find out who is saying this? Send the Tribune newspaper. Sokoto PDP cautions Governor Aleo against vendetta. Hardship, PDP backs on governor's position against APC. That's how the Tribune puts the story. Restructure now to stop hunger in Nigeria. Still in the Tribune newspaper. And there are so many other stories there. And we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we will look at the newspapers in details. Please don't go away. so much and welcome to the second half of the Story State Newspaper Review on Citizen FM 93.7. I'm Lawrence Omoiti. And my colleague is already seated. I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's been around with Mr. Salami in the last couple of weeks. Abdulwariz Solanke. He is a veteran journalist and a public policy analyst. Welcome, bro.
Good morning, beautiful citizens of Nigeria.
Yes, Mr. Solanke is a senior colleague in the industry, a veteran journalist and a public policy analyst. And together, we will be looking in details at some of the items in the newspapers today. Don't forget the phone lines are open now. You can join the conversation. Call us on 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818-2222-206. Please, let's have your thoughts on any of the items we have reviewed in the papers today. Well, let's start with the Punch newspaper, and we started with the Edo story. There's been a lot of controversy, especially at the primaries held by the APC on Saturday. As controversy continued to trail the result of Saturday's governorship primary of the All Progressives Congress in Edo State, the resident electoral commissioner in the state said on Monday that the Independent National Electoral Commission would only reckon with the exercise conducted at the venue communicated by the national leadership of the party. INEC said that by the decision of the Supreme Court, only the national leadership of a political party and not the state leadership could determine the venue of primary election. According to him, in the Edo State case, the venue communicated to INEC by the APC national leadership was the Lushville Hotel and Suites. It will be recalled that the Edo APC primary produced 3 winners in quotes. The Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, who is the chairman of the Edo State Primary Election Committee, announced Dennis Idauza as winner at Protea Hotel. The returning officer, Stanley Ubuja, held a parallel announcement declaring Monday Okpebolo as winner. Ubuja started the announcement at Lushville but finished at Pastor Osage Iyamo House. This is becoming very interesting. It would have been funny if it was not that we are talking about a serious national issue. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, politics in Edo State can be dramatic. In fact, it's not can. Politics in Edo State is rather dramatic. You can see, even within party, the kind of shenanigans that go on. Talk less of between political parties. Talk less of decamping, recamping, all kinds of movement. Now, what we should be thinking of, what should be calling for, is discipline in party system in Nigeria. If there's discipline in party system, why will we be having 3 primaries in a party? Why would now be producing 3 aspirants? What it suggests that it's taking us into another circle of, I don't want to predict violence, because once you have within a party having three camps producing primaries, except they compromise among themselves, except they reach agreement among themselves, in this instance, trouble is ahead. So the parties should be disciplined enough to respect the party rules, or not just the party rules, the Supreme Court's ruling that already says only the elections that the national executive, the national ESCO sanctions will be respected. So the honorable thing for them to do is to respect that one which the national ESCO sanction the venue. That's my take.
Well, I agree with you totally, Mr. Solanke, because I think it bothers us on indiscipline, willful indiscipline, complete disregard for party rules, flagrant disregard for party rules. And this is not the first time we've seen this. And for a lot of people who complain all the time that, oh, the judiciary has taken over the role of the electorate in choosing leaders. When things like this happen, you can be sure, Mr. Solange, that this will end up in court. If we are not careful, it will end up in the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
It might even come, the final judgment might even come after the elections.
Exactly.
That would have been, and if the Supreme Court will now say, okay, Mr. A was not duly nominated to represent the party, even if the person went ahead to win the election, and the Supreme Court said, no, you were not duly elected to win, it's the other person, then there will be outcry. Why is the judiciary interfering in the affairs of... So political parties need to have a second thought and obey their own rules. These are rules written by them, not anybody. Nobody forced these rules on them. It's a rule of the political parties, and it's not something that is very difficult to do. It's just that because there are no sanctions when people misbehave, especially in the era of politics.
The question we should actually be asking is, are political parties vehicles of promoting democracy? Because if democracy is about choice, about popular participation, about respect for the rule of law, because it is not just... Because when you have this kind of crisis on hand, you see the individual ambition at play. No longer the party interest, no longer the citizenry, no longer the electorate that they want to canvass vote from, no longer the electorate they want to rule over. So our politicians should be careful not to truncate democracy in our land.
All right. I think that's something that everyone should be bothered about. Thank you so much, so let's move on to another story of protest. SANU threatens protest as FG pays ASU withheld salaries. The Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities has said it will ground activities in universities across the country if the withheld salaries of its members are not paid. This was in reaction to the exclusion of members of SANU from the payment of the withheld salaries by the federal government, which only commenced payment of the Academic Staff Union of Universities on Monday. The chairperson of ASU at the Federal University of Technology, Mina, confirmed the developments. The salaries were withheld when the administration of former President Muhammad Buhari invoked a no work, no pay policy against ASU and SANU, who embarked on strike that lasted 8 months in 2022. Mrs. Solanke, are we looking at another round of industrial dispute here?
You see, SANU, that is Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, they hold a very significant position in the university system. Without SANU, or without those who make the university, it's not just the lecturers that are stakeholders in the university system. Those who are in the administrative cadre, those who are the different cadres that make up the university system. Their concerns should always be taken into consideration. So even if the lecturers are at work, who opens the door? Who supplies certain items?
Who cleans the environment?
Who cleans the environment? Who takes the files of everybody? Who treats those files? Definitely it is those in these other sectors. So those who run the university system should be careful not to disrupt the balance, because it is not just about the people in the academia. What makes the university system tick is the peace in the environment, the comfort, the convenience in that environment. If these other people are not there, no, the lecturers cannot deliver. The students cannot be happy in that environment. So the university system is a unique system. Not even just any system that it is, you have to factor every stakeholder. So every stakeholder is important. SANU are stakeholders. So those who are in charge of this payment, they should take this into consideration, that at the end of the day, it is not the SANU or the ASU or whatever that's the, it is the students, it is the parents that send these children to,
and even
to
the
school.
system
that will be problematic eventually.
Yeah, Mr. I also think the place of communication is very vital.
Exactly.
Because the government may not have the all the funds available immediately to sort out this issue, but if there is the right channel of communication to all the parties involved, look, gentlemen, maybe we are going to do this thing in phases. After this, we go to this. I'm sure that a lot of this agitation would be reduced.
Definitely. You have mentioned the right in the index of communication. Communication is like oil that oils the system. When you don't communicate, you give room for speculation. You give room for
rumors.
You give room for all kinds of
fake
crises.
News.
You give room for all kinds of crises in the system. So, where you have different stakeholders, I believe in stakeholder engagement in everything we do. You must, and what keeps the stakeholder fully engaged to understand each other is communication. Communication. When you are introducing anything, you communicate. When you are also implementing anything, you communicate. When you are evaluating something, you communicate. At no level must be communication be left out.
All right, let's look at the Punch newspaper. Back to politics again, party politics again. This is from the Guardian newspaper. LP chairman called for Abure's resignation. Abure is the chairman of the Labour Party. And this is the story. Labour Party's state chairman in 36 states have called for the resignation of National Chairman Barrister Julius Abure, citing allegations of financial mismanagement and legal issues that could jeopardize the party's future. The state chairman led by Plateau State Chairman Comrade Solomon Ndem urged Abure to step aside to facilitate an independent investigation into the allegations. Abure faces accusation of allegedly misappropriating 3.5 billion naira in party funds raised through nomination from forms, sale and other activities, as alleged by the party's national treasurer, Oluchi Okpara. What are your thoughts on this? This is a story that has been building up over the last few days.
You see, things like this, I used to think it's their internal affair. When it comes to politics like this, I always want parties to sort out their issues. That it's more of an internal affairs, but it becomes a public affair something because the members of the public are members of the party. Not just members of the party, other members of the public, they want to know what is going on in Party A and Party B or Party C. Understand? And so, when the chairman, when the treasurer was sanctioned or suspended, it was in the news. And so, for us in the media, it gives us content to chew, and it gives us the opportunity to get the public animated on what is going on in the political scene. Where is an internal affairs of the Labour Party. They will necessarily sort out their issues up to the court level, up to the court level. So, be as it is, we must continue to interrogate the issue of corruption in our political system. It is not even government now. This is at the political level. So the question you'll be asking is, at what level do you have saints in our polity? Who is the saint in our polity? So it is good that the state chairmen of Labour Party are coming out to speak up on what they see as what they allege to be an undoing of the party chairman. So, for us in the public, it's fun for us to see how clean each of the party that we are presented to the public as democratic, how clean they are, how public spirited they are.
Oh, well, yes, and just like you said, the media is just like a mirror. The media just reflects what is happening, and the media owes its public, its audience, the responsibility of bringing to fore what has been happening. Labour Party is a big political party.
Definitely.
Garnered over 6 million votes in the last election. So it's not an issue that can be swept aside. And I'm sure that there are even people who are sympathizers of the party. They may not necessarily be card-carrying members of that party. They are sympathizers of the party, and they would want to know what exactly is happening. So the media owes the society that responsibility, whatever happens.
The media is actually the true definition of what we call the public sphere. It's the public sphere where everybody becomes an interpreter. Everybody becomes a player in the polity, because everybody has voice. The media gives voice to every player in the polity. So,
all right, the phone lines are still open, but I think we should. You can call in on 0903 2229797, 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206 or 0903 2229797. You can also send us a WhatsApp message, and we will be glad to read your message. Mrs. Shalange, let's look at this one from the Guardian newspaper. Security agents intercept trucks of smuggled, diverted food items at borders. Amid the rising cost of food and government's crackdown on food hoarders in warehouses nationwide, the customs yesterday intercepted 15 trucks containing food items in Sokoto State as part of its effort to prevent smuggling, which has aggravated the rising cost of commodities in the country. Spokesperson of the customs Sokoto Command, Abubakar Chafe, disclosed this to newsmen that the vehicles were arrested along the Gwagwala Ilela road. Chafa said the interceptions were made due to the quantity of farm produce the trucks were carrying. What's your take on this?
Fortunately, some 30-something years ago, I was a youth corper in Sokoto State.
Okay.
So, Sokoto is, especially the northern part of Sokoto, it's borderline. Border territory, and there's big business of cross-border trade. You see loads of trucks leaving Sokoto going especially through Ilela. So this kind of business, is not really new. It is just that it is at this point that we find it becoming an emergency situation. All our border points in Nigeria are roads for smuggling what Nigerians should be benefiting: food, fuel, funds. So that is FFF now. We smuggle food. They smuggle food out of the country. They smuggle fuel out of the country to this border. They struggle fund through this border too. So what do we need to do? So it's just that maybe things were stable in the country for so many years, and things are not really stable. But how did we manage to keep our borders porous over these years? The food, the fuel that Nigerians should use at home find their way to Niger Republic, to Benin Republic, to Cameroon. That is Niger Republic in our north, Benin Republic in our west, and Cameroon in our eastern part. But it is not just these countries, these three countries. Beyond these countries too, our things to Burkina Faso, to Mali, to other West African countries. It is good that we are our brothers keepers in this. But first, charity begins at home. Many Nigerians have been in this business of smuggling, whether smuggling things outside the country or bringing contrabands into the country. And okay, let us even interrogate the one that you bring into the country. You understand? People are in poultry farming. You see the volume of poultry products that are brought into the country, and to the detriment of our own
the local
poultry industry. So we commend the custom for rising to do their job in impounding these vehicles. But it is not now that these things should be done. It should have been a culture over years that our borders, there's a strong disincentive for people to be smuggling things into the country or smuggling things outside the country.
I agree with you, because even this is just a tip, and I'm sure that you are familiar with the Sokoto area. Even if you move along the Katsina border and everything, you know, it is a vast land, vast area that it will take the Nigerian state, I don't know, to even police the entire region. So it's a very huge challenge. That doesn't mean that the government should just sit back and fold it, and they can do some. Technology now enables countries around the world to protect its borders, monitor its borders, surveillance, air surveillance, and so many other things. So I think government should just step up in that, because apart from even preventing smuggling, you can help in security of the country.
Exactly. It's a security issue. There are so many dimensions to our borders. What of the migration? Illegal migrants coming into the country, people that you can hardly document coming into the country to compete for work that should be done by Nigerians. Granted that we're in an era of globalization, you see that what globalization emphasizes is free mobility of labor, capital, and goods. Understand? But then it must not be at the detriment of the local economy.
And also not put the country, your host country, in a terrible situation, especially when it concerns insecurity, because you need to document. One of the challenges we have here tackling this insecurity is that a lot of people who come into this country are not documented.
They are not. They are not.
All right, let's move on to another story. This time, the House of Representatives reps set to debate state police bill today. The House of Representatives is expected to commence debate on the general principle of a bill seeking to establish a state police in Nigeria. Private member bill, which was sponsored by Deputy Speaker Honorable Benjamin Kalu and 14 others, has been gazetted for its second reading on Tuesday. Well, to just cut the story short, I think a few days ago, even at the State National Council of State, at the meeting between the president and some stakeholders, it was muted that the federal government was considering along that line. And now this is the agitation for state police is really not a new one, Mr. Shalanka.
See, state police really is not a big deal. To me, it's not a big deal. It is what we should always have, because there are different levels of policing. So the one that concerns community, the one that concerns the state, let us allow it. But my concern is actually funding of state police. The second concern is politicizing state police, because usually when a party is in a state, it can become an instrument of suppressing other parties. So those are my two concerns on state police. State police, if it is used for public good, is the perfect thing. State police, if it is used for security in any part of the country, it is fantastic. But will the state government have the resources to actually fund the state police? What is the federal government going to be doing to assist the funding of state police? Because what it means is we are going to be deploying more hands into securing the nation. Definitely we need more hands to secure the nation at every level. And so state police comes as an instrument of massive security for the country. But at what cost? Who bears the cost?
Oh, well, that's a question for another day. And I'm sure this is one issue that we can devote an entire day to look at. But our time is fast spent. Thank you so much for your interventions. Abdul Aris Sholanke, veteran journalist and public policy analyst. It's always a pleasure to tap from your wealth of experience. Thank you so much for your interventions this morning.
So, to all Nigerians, my appeal is be responsible citizens. Once we are responsible citizens, the country will be at peace.
Thank you so much. Yes, let's preach peace and love everywhere we go today. Let's put a smile on someone's face. My name is Lawrence Omoite. Let's have a beautiful day.